Ford and GM just shocked the entire auto industry and put us buyers on alert. Huge alert for us consumers. I'm going to tell you the real deal of what's going down at Ford and GM and really pretty much all manufacturers. But Ford and GM are giving us some shocking news, and it's really a window into seeing what's going down for 2023. So are prices going up or are prices going down? Well, I'm going to be talking to you about exactly that in this video. So if you're thinking of buying a vehicle in 2023, you're going to want to watch. I'm Johnny from Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. Please hit that subscribe button and bell notification so you don't miss out on any important news. So I cover the news, but I also work in the industry, and I've been working in the industry now for 10 years. I've been following it very closely for, well, about 20 some years. I am passionate about vehicles. I've owned 70 some vehicles that I've owned, and I've reviewed, driven, test driven, so many more. So let's get started. So how is Ford and GM shocking the industry? Well, they're shocking the industry and prices. This is going to tell us exactly what's going to happen for prices in 2023. They're shocking the industry because they've got plant closures. Now, let's first go to GM. GM plant closures, what we have, kind of serious news and frustrating for us buyers. You might be mad about this, and I could understand. They're going to be shutting down production at one of their plants for the GM, the Chevy Silverado, and the GMC Sierra pickup truck for 2 weeks starting March 27th this year, 2023. And the reason they're doing this is to actually keep inventory levels low at dealerships. So it started to get up pretty high at the end of January. They want to ideally keep inventory at what's called a 50 to 60 day supply, meaning vehicles arrive and on average between 50 to 60 days later, those vehicles are sold. Now that's interesting because in 2019, we had levels more around 90 to 100 days of inventory, and that's what we just saw recently in January. So end of January, inventory was a little high. GM sees this as a problem. Well, if you're a stockholder, if you own shares of GM, you should actually see this as a good thing, this deliberate lower inventory, because what is it going to do? It's going to help them control the price. So in 2019, across the Chevrolet brand, you're looking at about $4,500 in rebates. And now you're looking at roughly $1,300 in rebates. And do keep in mind the MSRPs, that's the suggested retail price, have significantly increased. You know, if you look at a Chevy pickup truck and you look at 2019 prices and you build the same truck now, yes, for the same model, you're going to get a little more wow, a little more tech, but you're going to pay a whole lot more. You're going to pay at least, you know, in Canadian dollars, $10,000 more. So let's say minimum $6,000 increase. And actually over the last 3 years, you're going to be looking at more like 10,000 US dollars for those 3 years that have gone by. So prices have gone up. And, you know, this goes contrary to what was said by Ford's CEO, Jim Farley. He said prices for 2023 should come down about 5%. Well, as soon as that was said, I was saying, you know what we're going to see? We're going to see that 5% is just the over MSRP, dealer fees, dealer adjustment prices, you know, basically add-ons to that suggested retail price, the right price. We're going to see those disappear. Now, there is one little piece of information that could be that we get lucky and prices actually do go down. But first, let's cover the Ford news. So Ford also has plant closures. So heading over to Ford here now, we've got the Ford Louisville assembly plant under total production shutdown. This isn't about price control whatsoever. This is actually about quality control. So the plant that's making the new 2023 Escape, well, the mostly new, it's redesigned. It's the mid-model refresh, I guess you could call it, because it's not a major overhaul. It's just a refresh. And well, the plant's down, and the plant's gonna stay down until they can figure out the software issue. So the pause has been extended through to this current week. And well, we've got a little bit of a programming issue. So Ford had a lot of recalls for 2022. They're the big winner when it comes to recalls. They had the most recalls, affecting the highest amount of customers. It was in the 8 million ballpark. So they really had a lot of recalls. CEO Jim Farley promised to bring those recalls down, and this is part of that effort to keep recalls down. So they want the customer experience to be better. They don't want people getting their new Escape and having to bring it back to the dealership or have something not work quite right and have one of those over-the-air updates for programming, because Ford does a lot of over-the-air updates that can fix things with the programming of the vehicle. So you've got a gorgeous Escape. I did a video, very early video, caught one of the first ones with manufacturer plates, did a little walk around on it. Just recently. You want to check out that video, go ahead. I think this is a gorgeous looking vehicle. They've done a fine job, and I'm actually quite pleased about this being held back until it is ready to be brought to the public, in order. It's never fun getting a vehicle, and then if you lose it for a day, that's frustrating. It's hard on the dealerships, and it makes for lower customer satisfaction. So great example of Ford actually moving forward and, actually putting through, as they call it, a rigorous quality inspection. Speaking of rigorous quality inspections, Ford's been doing that on the Ford F150 Lightning, because guess what? That plant's shut down as well. So hot off the press, I've got an update for that, because I covered this in the news, basically right when it happened, but the Lightning factory is still shut down. And the reason for that, well, it's not because of the 100 vehicles that have a programming issue. So what's really neat, Ford vehicles communicate right back to Ford, and Ford can analyze the data and know when there's a programming issue. Ford has identified 100 Ford F-150 Lightnings that have a programming issue, and these are going to be corrected either over the air or at the dealership. So these people are going to be contacted by Ford. If you have a Lightning, don't worry, Ford will contact you. Check your emails, and check your emails. And if the dealership calls, pick up. They're not trying to sell you a vehicle. If you just bought a Lightning, you're one of those 100 people. So very few for all the Lightnings that have been delivered. But there was a fire, and Ford is opening up about this. It happened in a parking lot. So one vehicle caught fire, and it has to do with the truck's battery production process. So these batteries are created by another company. These would be SK batteries, if I'm not mistaken, as I covered in my last video when the news was fresh off the press. But what's new about this is it's still going to be shut down for the week, this coming week. So the week of the 27th, full shutdown to the end of February. And they're hoping to instill the solution, to really put in place the solution with the battery production by the end of the week. So around, March 2nd. So it's going to probably take a week or two more until they can start producing Lightning. So probably another 2 to 3 weeks of Lightning production down. This is great because they found this problem themselves. This is not an issue with any Ford Lightning that is in a customer's hands. So what's great is they inspect these vehicles clearly in a rigorous manner. It's unfortunate that one caught fire, but it's great that they've, isolated the problem. They're going to be working on the problem, and it's going to be put into the battery production, which is not done by Ford, but it will be adapted into the battery production coming right up. In the meantime, they're going to hold all the Lightnings. So if you've ordered a Lightning and it's been built and it's at factory, expect this thing to be held back and have, a few weeks of delays, because they're going to inspect rigorously, double inspection, make sure none of the other ones that they release are going to catch fire. So right now, no Lightnings are being released. Now, Ford's not doing this. This isn't about pricing and being able to maintain control of the price, which is the case for GM. They want lower inventory on lots, 50 to 60 days worth of inventory. So that means about half as much, or not quite half as much, as what we had back in 2019, 2018. So what can we tell about 2023? Well, we can tell there'll be less inventory at dealerships, less models to pick from. And actually, this is part of Ford's plan for a good reason. Ford wants customers to be able to go to a dealership, have, let's say you've got 10, 12 different F-150s you can try out. You try out a King Ranch, you try out a Platinum, a Tremor, a Limited, try the different engine options, and then you order it. They want to get order times down to, coming up in the future, they would like to get order times down to about 5 to 8 weeks. So really quick order times, you get your vehicle exactly as you want it. And the purpose of this is that they want dealerships to have less interest to pay because they want to keep the price on these vehicles. They don't want part of the price you're paying to include a whole bunch of interest. So having a lot of vehicles to pick from on the dealership lots come at a cost. It affects the price of the vehicle. So Ford wants to be more competitive. They need to be when it comes to electric vehicles. We saw Tesla just lowering their prices. They need to get prices down. But can we expect prices really to be down in 2023? I'd say no. And here's the thing. Already, I'm going to be announcing in the upcoming video, so you'll want to subscribe, hit the bell notification, because very soon after this video, I'm going to be producing a video that is talking about price increases at Ford on the F-150 Tremor, the King Ranch, as well as the Ford Maverick, the all-popular Ford Maverick. These price increases are confirmed for Canada, so expect them in the US real soon, and you can expect price increases on the MSRP of the Bronco. I called this back when the entire industry was saying do not buy a vehicle because prices are going to go down in, 2, 3, 4 months, depends who you watch. I was saying prices aren't going to go down. MSRP is going to go up, and yes, what will go down are those ridiculous dealer markup fees. But I've been talking now for 2 years about how to avoid dealer markup, what to do, tips and tricks to save you thousands. So it comes down to the age-old question I ask, is it a good time to buy a vehicle? It all depends on how you negotiate that vehicle. And that's what I'm here for. So please like and subscribe. I'm going to be covering those price increases. But first, let's talk about one very important issue. So really important to know, GM's CFO, Paul Jacobson, told investors when GM released its full 2022 earnings report this January 2023 that the automaker for 2023 is going to actually work at maintaining inventory levels to align with demand. Really good news for GM investors because this means more profit for the company, more money made on each vehicle because these vehicles aren't incurring all sorts of interest at dealership lots. Will it help them keep control of the pricing to keep it lower? It could, but if they can make money, they're gonna make money. They're a company. That's what corporations do. They're not nonprofits, people. So we can actually expect 2023 MSRP pricing to go up. It's coming up on the Maverick. It's coming up on the F-150 for certain models. I'm gonna be talking about that. But what Cox Automotive executive analyst Michelle Krebs actually noted is that full-size pickup inventory has been increasing in recent months. At the end of January, the light-duty Silverado had more than 100 days of supply, and at Stellantis, so that's the Dodge Ram 1500, had 83 days of actually days on the lot, meaning inventory goes up. When inventory goes up, what do they have to do to liquidate these vehicles? They have to find some sort of way of making them less expensive because these truck prices are really getting out of hand. The monthly is wild, but you can save $200 a month if they just lower that interest rate back to 0%. So they can play around with pricing while still increasing MSRP. They can actually bring the monthly of these trucks down. And that's what I expect to see for 2023. I expect to see better interest rates on the new as the year progresses if they've got high inventory. Mind you, GM, they're going to be shutting down a factory to keep that inventory at a very reasonable number. Interest rates for used vehicles, that's actually controlled by the banks, but I'm hoping by this summer, end of 2023, those interest rates are either going to stagnate and no longer go up or start to come down. That's where I see the market. So I actually expect used vehicles to not completely fill up lots. I'm expecting the next 2 months to be a good time to sell your used vehicle, whether you sell it on a trade-in or you sell it yourself. Used prices are going to be pretty darn decent, especially when inventory is a little low. And we all know all our popular models at Ford, inventory is extremely low, starting to build up on the F-150. But the 2023 F-150, when you combine that increased MSRP price that has gone up by thousands, and the interest rate, if we go back 2 years ago, we were looking at 0% and a $5,000 rebate on an F-150, at least in my region, in Canada. And now we're looking at no rebate, an MSRP that's gone up by thousands, really thousands, about 10,000 since 2020. So since summer 2020 to right now, it's gone up 10,000 Canadian, and you've got about $10,000 or more in extra interest payments. The F-150, when you look at interest and increased MSRP, the thing's gone up 20,000. So is it a horrible time to buy a vehicle? Well, I'd say your monthly is going to be considerably higher, but I don't see the market. The monthly might come down a little if interest rates come down. That is a definite possibility. But I don't see MSRPs coming down anytime soon. And when you think about it, what do these corporations have to deal with? They've got the upcoming CAFE rules of 50 miles per gallon per unit. So these gas-powered trucks, I don't expect to have these gas-powered trucks that we all love come down in price. They actually need to sell less of them, and you need to sell more things like the Ford F-150, Lightning. So we're going to see more hybrids, more electrics. We'll see smaller trucks that are good on fuel economy, like the Ford Maverick being offered at great prices. But Ford, GM, all these truck manufacturers need to survive. They have to push people away from their big fuel-consuming, gasoline-powered engines. So on those models, prices are definitely going to go up. What we will see in the future are more affordable electric vehicles, because right now they're pretty expensive. So we'll see vehicles with different battery technology, possibly even more range or more ease and quickness in charging, making them more accessible. And we'll see better priced vehicles when it comes to those fuel efficient vehicles that are either all electric or partially electric. So let's talk more about price increases. All you have to do is hit that bell notification so that you don't miss out on the next video, where we're talking about more about price increases and examples on specific models like the Ford F-150 as well as the Ford Maverick. Stay tuned, and in the meantime, I wish you all more cars and more power. And hopefully the future will still mean more cars for all of us, and not this shared transportation where we pay for rides and don't actually own our own vehicles. This whole autonomous taxi system could be a thing, coming up in the next 10 to 20 years. At least that's what the big heads are talking about in the world. So let's see what happens. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, take care, and thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button to feed those poodles.